Welcome to Beyond the Page, the official podcast of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, where we bring you amazing insights and in-depth features you just won't find anywhere else. I'm your host, Garry Schleifer, and I'm excited to expand your learning as we dive into the latest article, have a chat with this brilliant author behind it, and uncover the learnings that are transforming the coaching world. When you have a moment, join our vibrant community of coaching professionals as we explore groundbreaking ideas, share expert tips and techniques, and make a real difference in our clients' lives. Remember, this is your go-to resource for all things coaching. But in the meantime, let's dive into our podcast. In today's episode, I'm speaking with author Lisa Murrell, who's the author of an article in our latest issue, 23 years in the making, The Power of Choice. The article is entitled Coaching Choice from the Ground Up. Your client's body and spirit know before their mind does. A little bit about Lisa. She holds a BA. She's a PCC with the ICF and a partridge in a pear tree. It's just so much alphabet, right? She's the founder of Equine Alchemy and founding partner of Metasystem Integrated Strategies. For more than 26 years, she has worked globally with Fortune 500 companies, including Amazon, Coca-Cola, London's Business School, and Pfizer, specializing in organizational development and executive coaching. Lisa pioneered the integration of equine facilitated learning with ICF accredited coaching certification programs, the only program of its kind for over 15 years. She is the author of Inspiring Real Change, using systemic experiential learning to develop systems, organizations, teams, and individuals. And I've known Lisa forever. She even
Yeah,
remembers
whatever
when
that
we met
blah.
way back. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's so fun to see you again, Gary. Way
And
too long.
you, way too long, and let's not make it
Mhm.
so long next time. Don't
I
be a
agree.
one-hit wonder. What, speaking of, so what called you to write for this particular issue?
Well, fortunately, you have been generous in publishing a couple of other little ditties that I did, and that was a while ago. And of course, the work that I'm doing is evolving. And what actually, as we were chatting before we started doing this, the work with horses has evolved as well. And actually, okay, so what? That's always the big question. So you go have this horse thing go on. Why are we here with horses? And what does this have anything to do with coaching? Well, that's what I've been discovering.
Mm.
That's what, because of my background as a coach, I think I became a coach in 2000, if you can believe that, from
Oh,
ICF,
you were a year ahead of me.
right? Yeah, well, I can't remember exactly when ICF officially started, but I was doing coaching before it was called coaching,
A lot of
that
us
kind of
were,
thing.
yeah.
So with that kind of background, obviously, I just saw that there was such a need for this learning, but it needs a translator it, to the corporate world, to just people who were seekers of, okay, I have this problem. What do I do to solve it and get to this place, which is usually the role of the coach, right? And so I had the experience, background, and vernacular through working within the coaching and corporate world and within the learning from horses world. And so when you sent out saying what this particular issue was going to be about, I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect for this. So you kind of framed it all up for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you, thank you. And since you wrote for us, we've been doing podcasts, so now I can't wait to have you on another podcast because
I like podcasts. They're so fun
and,
and easy.
and you have one as well. What's yours called?
Oh, I can't remember exactly. Something about equine alchemy and uh, let me get back to you on that. I can't remember it right now.
Well, it's easy enough to look up because so many people look for Coach Magazine, not Choice Magazine, and
Oh, right. Well,
Gary
if you
Gary
just look
Huanard.
for,
So just search Lisa Morrell
yeah,
Equine Coaching,
podcast.
and you'll
Yeah.
find it in your usual channels. So I
Mhm.
want to call. You brought up something, and I love what you said here, and this goes with many clients don't, coaching clients don't know what they want. They think they do, but that often changes during the coaching relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, clients may have a specific goal or need support with moving forward in a current situation or get unstuck. These two are
Mm-hmm.
closely related, but the client doesn't see the connection. It's hidden in a blind spot. It's just
Yeah.
what you were just saying about choice and that sort of thing. So, um, right there in the article, folks, make sure you get your copy. Um, one of the one of the things that we were talking about in the green room earlier is that we've been around coaching for a long time and it's evolved,
Mhm.
and the language wasn't there for us for what you do and for what a lot of people do. In particular, you wrote about embodied choice, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's something that's evolved over time. What does that actually mean, and how is it different from the way we were trained as a coach back 25 and 26 years ago?
God, I don't know if I can remember. No, I can't. Uh, it's great that people are taking a new look. For a lot of people, the first look at what is called somatics. A lot of people say to me, when I start talking about it, if they ask me, what is it that you do, blah, blah, blah. And I mention that word, and a lot of people don't know what it means. And it's a Latin word, soma, which means of the body, right? So I'm so happy that that's becoming a trend for people to just pay attention to something below their neck, right? Who knew? Who thought about it? Again, this is the evolution of society, not just the evolution of coaching. Coaching just follows what society is laying before us or what we come up with. And our brains are about to explode. Too much, not enough. It's just, there's only so much that we can handle. And the thing that's interesting is that we have a whole other uh, well of information, and
Mm,
that's our bodies. But we don't usually know how to access that, if we even know that it is a source of information. And so one of the premises on in the work with horses is that your entire body is a sensory device. Now, to answer your question about what this is different to how we learn, I never heard any language about sensory device
no.
when I first started coaching. I didn't, it was actually, it's always interesting. I'm working on a book now that is about uh, ICF coaching and how that fits with this work. But one of the things I was writing about is that people don't understand that there's a connection between being in your body and open and what happens when you speak. And so coaching in the beginning was really about, okay, it was similar to consulting,
Mm,
right? You would go in and you say, okay, but because I was a consultant that also coached leaders, coach consulting, if you will.
yeah.
And I would go in and I was very good at spotting what was going on in the organization because my background in OD was a very big part of coaching. And that's what I was supposed to do. That's what the contract was. And so the shift to coaching was kind of challenging because I didn't know that wasn't supposed to have an answer, right?
Yeah,
That
right.
was that was very, very new for me. And that evolved over the years, as I think coaching has, right? And I think ICF does a really great job in their core competencies, in their all the stuff they do, and you and I know they do a lot
Yeah.
to make sure that people understand that it's not about the coach and that they have answers, right? And so what we're doing now, especially what I'm doing now, is getting into a different state of being where I didn't have a clue what state of being I was supposed to be in if I didn't have the answers. I was like, okay, it's supposed to be for them. Okay, so that is a hard thing to teach. It's a hard thing to learn that, okay, you are, as is kind of mainstream language now, holding the space
Hmm.
for someone when they come to you, because they come to you for with some sort of request, whether it's conscious or unconscious or whatever. It's absolutely irrelevant. It's where they are at that time, right? So the kind of coaching that I have learned, and that from the horses, my experience with horses, as is about capacity. Where is my capacity at this point for holding space? Where is the client's capacity? My favorite thing to say to all my students is meet the person where they are. And that's what you have to do with a horse because they're so big, right? How
You
do you
better be where they
meet?
are.
Yes, exactly. And this is one of the reasons why they're such good teachers, because for us humans, it kind of takes a bang on the head for us to get it, right?
Mm,
So we may sit with our client, but we're not always aware of, nor do we ask, okay, what are you capable of right now? What's your capacity right now? Where did you just come from?
mhm,
Where are you now? I know we're looking at this series, we're looking at this goal, but where are you right now with that? So we're talking about being in the moment,
mm.
right? And what better to check out where you are in the moment than through your body? If you're constricted, you're usually holding your breath.
Mhm.
Things can't flow, right? You've heard that, go with the
You
flow. Well,
stop
no,
breathing.
nothing's
No.
flowing when you're like this, right?
Yeah.
And if you're relaxed, if you're breathing, sitting back, and yes, of course, there's body language and all of that, but this goes beyond that. This
Mm,
goes into an energetic exchange between coach and client that is, you mentioned language earlier, that just had no language before. What
right.
is that space? It's not like nobody experienced it,
Just we didn't have
right?
language for it.
No, we didn't know. We could tell it when we felt it if we actually took that time and
Right.
that awareness, right? And so now that we have, actually, there was a philosopher named Christian DeCensey, Quincey, who talked about something called coaching from intersubjectivity.
Intersubjectivity. Okay, go.
Basically, what it means is that two sentient beings share the same subjective state. So that's like you
Mm,
have we're doing this thing here right now, right? You have your view, perspective, and feelings. Those are subjective. I have my view, perspectives, and feelings subjectively. That's mine. But if you notice within the conversation, both in the green room and here, because we had a connection for so many years, there's something else there. Like, I'm not concerned about what, I'm not worried, I'm not anxious, I'm not anything. I feel very comfortable with you. That doesn't mean I'll say anything that makes sense. It just means that I feel very, there's a space between what the two of us have that allow that flow. And we don't know exactly what's going to come out of it. That's a very scary place for new coaches to be. How many times have you asked yourself the question, oh, blank, what am I going to do now? Right?
So many times every day. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And you just have to check a way that horses deal with that.
Yeah.
And this is what I learned is to check in with your body. Am I tense? Am I ready to flee or make stuff up or blank out? Or can I just breathe? And breathing has become so well received these days.
Almost necessary.
Right? And then your body just kind of is ready to see what else happens. So creating that state
Mm.
is the difference between coaching just with this and listening and hearing and looking at body language.
Well, quote you, here's what I've learned after decades of coaching with and without horses. We don't make choices with our minds. We make them
Oh,
with our whole system, body,
mhm.
emotions, intuition, values, history, context, everything. And I love this line. The mind just likes to pretend it's in charge.
Oh, so true. Hey, like I said, I came from the consulting world. So cognitively is how
Yeah.
and that's the place for intuition. We feel these things, right? But we don't necessarily do anything else with that. If we're conscious that what we're feeling and intuiting is actually information,
Hmm.
then maybe the brain can process it as something valuable
Right.
that might help or add some perspective in this conversation. So if we come in with our mind, gosh knows, Gary, I'm sure you talked to so many people about what are the best coaching questions. I know in the
Oh,
article,
yeah.
yes,
Oh, remember
right?
when we started having all those questions? There were books of powerful questions,
I know.
chapters and chapters in the training on powerful questions. I had sheets of them
And
everywhere.
yes, yes, because that's what new coaches want to know. That's coming from here.
Right.
And those books and those lists. And, I'm not saying to abandon your mind. You need this.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But like in the article, I wanted to bridge that gap between, oh my God, this is all about feeling and breathing and all of this stuff. What do I actually do? And so that's some of the questions. But one of the things I wanted to make clear, and I think it's does in that article, you have to do this with yourself first.
Right.
You cannot ask your client to be something other than you're willing to be. And not only that, there's been so much research about electromagnetic fields and connecting and how we connect outside of our brain before we connect. We have a neural pathway that says language, language, language. So once we can do that, we can open up another door or another space to possibilities, which is what I think choice is all
Is
about.
That's one of the things I learned from coaching when I first started, and it's no surprised that choice became what it was until a couple of years after I started coaching because I just kept thinking it was about possibility and then choice.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
it's absolutely, and it's held its ground for almost 25 years. I
That's
want to
so
ask a little
great.
bit more specifically, your signature, something about the modality. And I know it's not about horses per se, it's about both, but you ask, your signature question is, what would you do if this was your horse?
Mm-hmm.
What happens in a client when you ask that, and why does it work even for someone who's never, like me, who's rarely been near a horse? I can't say I've never been near a horse, but I've never
Well,
been
first of
near a
all,
horse thinking, what would I do if this were my horse?
I don't ask them about a horse. I do if I have clients who come to me because they're horse people, or my coach training program, which teaches coaching through working with horses,
Mm,
right?
right.
But, and those people often have something to do with horses. And if they didn't when they came, they learned because the horses teach us. And so if I'm with a client, I use it as a metaphor in
Mm,
answer to your question. For example, if oh my God, what do I do? My client's saying, there's this, and this, totally their story, and they're stuck, right?
yeah.
I'm not judging them. I'm just going, haven't I heard this before? And then I say, okay, wait, stop. First, I ask them to breathe. I ask them to notice. Uh, is this happening? Are you tense? Are you worried? How do you know you're worried? Where's that showing up in your body? You know? And then I take them through this kind of verbal body scan so
Mm,
that they can kind of get in touch with their body. And then I said, so, and usually I have a relationship with my clients. I think it's so critical. So I either know if they have a dog or if they
mhm,
have
right.
a any kind of animal, or if I know that they're very, very close with their partners or
Hmm.
whatever. Okay, so what would you do? Or even a best friend, or if I know they're incredibly compassionate towards others, I can say, what if somebody was asking you this and it wasn't about you?
Mm.
Not just, what if your dog was da da da? Just, you have to know. Remember what I said? Meet people where they are. So
Yeah.
you have to do your due diligence. You
Mm.
have to care about, join their world as a coach, right? Because that's their language already. So they don't need to learn a new language as they're trying to figure out what the heck's going on in their
Oh
life,
gosh, no, please don't.
right?
Yeah.
But new coaches, this is difficult. Gary, you and I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
So,
And I do something, I guess in hindsight and reflection,
mhm,
I'm doing something like that with every new client. One of my first questions before I get into the whole confidentiality logistics bull
mhm,
is I say, and where are you calling in from? And
mhm,
we get a little banter going on that. And right away, you can see that A builds trust, but also just reduces because then we banter about the differences of where we are. And it's usually a weather thing, and stuff like, because they're in Orlando and I'm in, minus 30 Celsius with a wind chill factor, making it minus 40. So, so that just breaks the ice.
mhm,
Uh-huh. Um, but to your point, I'm hearing it also gives me a one point of reference that I know
mhm,
about them, about where they're at,
mhm.
literally.
Yeah, I feel that, first of all, you're really good at that. I think you have a really great way of making people feel comfortable
Oh,
and
thank you.
building that trust. So for some people, that's not as easy, but also knowing, and to your point about, okay, that gives you a point of information. Everything is information for a coach,
Mm.
whether we act on it or not. It comes from experience. It's discernment. Is it? Why are you even talking? You have to ask those questions before you open your mouth as a coach. Why are you even talking?
I
What
have
is
an
actually
acronym a
happening?
client taught me, WAIT. Why am I talking? And sometimes when I notice it, I write it down in my little notebook while I'm working with the client to remind
Mhm.
me, why am I talking?
It's so true because we're just on automatic. Oh, well, this is what I think about that. And isn't that so valuable in this conversation? But again, new coaches find this very difficult, that degree of discernment. This is what I think the horses do because of their size. You can't have this override your head, your cognitive. You can't have it override.
Lisa, I'm just picturing somebody standing there telling a horse what to do, and the horse just turns and goes. And inside you're thinking,
It's true.
seriously? Yeah, I know. It's like, are we riding? What's going on here? Are you gonna feed me?
Yeah, it's like a New Yorker cartoon, right?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
there was this one woman who came, lovely, 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 very feminine, very successful woman. And so, one of the things that we do, one of the experiences that I create is a way for after you have developed a relationship, you know the safety protocols, you know all of this stuff, because safety is foremost for me. And for the horse, as well as for the human. And so, is to get them into movement. I call it relationship in motion
Mm.
because that's what we have to do. Our coaching client, this is not static. This is evolutionary. It just goes somewhere to choice, right? You can't just sit there. You have to create something different.
Yeah.
That's how you get unstuck. And so I remember her standing there once, and I said, "Okay, all right, just ask him to walk over there." Nothing. And after a moment or two, I said, "So what's going on?" And she said, "Well, he doesn't want to move." And I went, "Oh, is that what he wants? Or is that what you're expecting?" how do you reconnect through relationship, build that trust so that you can start all over again with what is possible, movement or not.
Yeah.
So many people get caught up in that. Oh my God, it's not looking the way I thought it was going to look. Okay,
Yeah.
let's breathe. Let's reestablish our own connection to our own body so we can reestablish connection with our client. I love take twos. All right, take two,
Okay.
because so many people feel like they don't have one.
That's a good point.
That's what I meant in the article about choices being reversible.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be the all end all biggest thing you ever decided in your entire life.
Yeah.
And that comes with it such a perspective or assumption of risk that the client is just not willing to go to because they
Right.
don't have the capacity. So that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. What does feel okay for you? You know, those are the kind of things. But again, I feel like this is a departure from it is an evolution and a departure in the way that coaching started.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Lisa, we could talk forever. Unfortunately, it's time to bring our wonderful interview to an end. What would you like our audience to do as a result of the article in this conversation?
Well, there is a something that I put together, which is the seven stages of systemic coaching, and that's a PDF. And Gary, I'll send that to you
When it's
when
available
this
along
is
with this recording?
yeah, and it's everything I learned because systems is what my whole background. So, how do you look at all the stuff I've been talking about in this? That's part of systems coaching. That's part of systems consulting. So I put this guideline, a guide together for people who want to take a look
Awesome.
at actually what do I do with this in a coaching conversation.
Mm.
And so this is the guide that I'm offering.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very
Mm-hmm.
generous. What's the best way to reach you?
Equinealchemy.com. That's the website. And me, Lisa at equinealchemy.com.
Making it
And there's
easy.
a I'm pretty easy to reach.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? But
You are, and it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for
you
joining
too.
us for this Beyond the Page episode.
My presence and
And
honor.
we look forward to seeing you again. That's it for this episode of Beyond the Page. For more episodes, subscribe via your favorite podcast app. If you're not a subscriber to Choice Magazine and you're watching this video, you can sign up for your free digital issue by scanning the QR code in the top corner of our screen. If you're
Oh,
listen only mode and you've stopped driving and you're safe and off that treadmill, you can go to choice-online.com and click the sign up now button. I'm Garry Schleifer. Enjoy the journey of mastery.